What kind of bot am I developing? All of it. The all of it bot. The everything bot. But anyway, his computer was having issues. He fixed it and then didn't really have it fixed. But anyway, follow him. Check him out. There's a follow button up there if you haven't already followed him. Give him a look. I love hanging out on his stream when he is able to stream. It's great times. But yes, Scott, Twitch bot, Discord bot. I'll be using LLM to do just, all the stuff that our LLM currently does. It's going to be exactly the same. LLM. Why is it saying that you're not in our chat, Automated Realms? Good morning to you. It is. It is in our chat. Okay, good. So, the thing is, I haven't been able to work on it much, and I'm okay with that. I am completely okay with that. We have a working bot, and it's just that right now it's closed source. I don't know if I have any keys and stuff that need to be protected that I'm just kind of storing somewhere I shouldn't, because I threw it together and was just trying to get a bot that works for our stream. So what I'm wanting to do with this bot is redesign and refactor at the same time as implementing the open source version of my bot without keys and stuff. Yeah. Oh no. No, you are not doing that. That's not for me. Jeez. Let's go here. Oh, itchy head. Okay, so what's been happening though is Fridays are community days, and they're really the only days that I work on this remake. And I tend to get lost in our conversations because that's what I want Fridays to be, is us having conversations about whatever it is you want to talk about. It would be nice to be able to work on this at the same time. I typically am able to multitask, but as soon as it involves needing to use my own voice and talk with people, then I kind of am not able to write code as much, unless I'm only talking about the code that I'm writing. So, anyway, yes, it is wrong. Automated Realms will not be able to do functions yet, but that is one thing that we will add to it. We'll add functions to the entire LLM process. I also plan on adding RAG to it so that we have stuff that's specific to our stream, maybe past conversations we've had, past stream content. I do have a thing where I'm trying to get it to take, and this is one of the functions that it can do, take a YouTube channel, tell it to get the transcript from it, summarize it, and then know what that video is going to be about. Store the entire transcript in file format on disk so that it has access to it, so that I can index it, use it for RAG, and then we would have chat transcript plus my voice transcript with timestamps to line everything up. And yeah. Will you do function calling? Yes, I'm going to definitely try my best to figure out how semantic kernel works. It looks like it's pretty easy for the most part. You did say that you ran into some gotchas, so it'll be nice having you around when I'm fully working on that part, which we should get to pretty soon. I did create the structure, and hello Matt, by the way. I did create the structure for our project for the new bot, and I'm pretty sure, aside from state management, I'm pretty sure this is the structure we're going with. So this is the app itself. This is going to be our hybrid server, where it's going to be Blazor interactive mode auto. And then this is the, of course, the client side portion of the app that could run either as server served pages or WASM. And then our shared UI library, which is where I'm going to do the majority of the UI work. Which, I mean, like, now that they really have split this out into a real .client project, oh man, that's really hard for me to think about. The reason that I have my Blazor UI in a completely separate project than typical is, or not than typical, than just using the built-in WASM's client project, is because I want to be able to use this UI in any application type that supports Blazor UI. So that could be a MAUI application, that could be a WPF application, the other one, UWP application, all of them, you know what I'm trying to say. But I think that I should be able to, in Futur, just use the .client project as my Blazor UI. I mean, I could still have like a shared components in case I want to turn this into a library or incorporate it into my library that you can find on GitHub, which is, this is my GitHub. It's the Blazor component library, which I want to also work on more on stream and clean it up. It's been a few years since I've updated this library. I created it when I was first learning Blazor and was wanting to get practice making reusable components in an application agnostic way. And so that's what all of these are. And so now I just want to update it with my current knowledge. Kind of like what, you know, it's what we typically want to do. Thank you, Captain Commerce. Oh, thank you so very much. Such a huge supporter of our stream, our community, and we support you. If you guys don't know Captain Commerce, he's a .NET developer. He has fun on Mondays and Fridays typically. Definitely give him a follow. Shout out to Captain Commerce. And in case you're wondering what his streams are like, here is a clip. Captain Commerce. Go!
That is a relic.
Are you talking about me?
Shame on me. Copying another open source code for this. Let's try it again. Alright, is this still in my get notes? Try it out. Notebook ID. Yep. Execute.
That looked fairly recent. Is that the app that you're currently working on? Your replacement, I can never remember what the name of the notebook app is. Hello, Peter. Shame on me. Feels like my entire way of working. Matt asks or says, within a Blazor app where there is a server and client app, how would you add a notifications service? So that would be my toaster here, essentially. How would you add a notification? Actually, no, I do have a separate notification service. Anyway. As I want to display them under my nav, which the layout is in the server, but all my pages are in the client. So when I push a notification, it only pushes to the client service and not the server one. So I would move the layout into a shared library. So again, that's what I was just kind of talking about, where we have the new Blazor web app template where the server is a hybrid server. So it's still a server. You can do controllers, you can do Razor pages and stuff, and it'll be served from the server. It can serve interactive server rendered pages. And then you have this client app, which can run as WebAssembly or interactive WASM client side. That's where all of your components can go. Write them in a way that they can run either from the server or from the client. So they aren't specific to a one implementation. Then when you're using your notification service, then have a client-side implementation of your notification service and a server-side implementation of your notification service. Then depending on how your app is running, it would use the appropriate notification service. That might have changed in .NET 8. So I'm really needing to progress on this app, especially because I don't know how that's gonna really work. When I'm running the application, like let's say financial management tracker. Let's go to that. Oi. Oh, speaking of, not speaking of, just in general, I am going to hop into Discord. Today is Community Day, so as always, I will try my best to pay more attention to chat. I will also open up the stream voice channel for anyone that is interested in having your voice come over on stream and having a verbal conversation. We are going to address Matt's situation since he's the first one to bring something up that he'd like, or they would like some interaction with, which I love doing. So hopefully this is helpful in the end. So in .NET 7 and before, you would normally choose yourself, am I going to create a Blazor server project or am I going to create a Blazor WebAssembly project? And if I'm going with Blazor WebAssembly, am I using a hosted backend or not? Or is it just a Blazor WebAssembly front-end app only? All right, give me a second to address Matt real quick, and then I'll pull you into the stream room. So with that pattern, I can definitely see how you can have your service interfaces at one level. Then on the server, when you're running the application using Blazor server specifically, you're injecting the service implementations that can be run from the server. So for example, my account service running on a server, whether this is the hosted API backend or Blazor server directly, does my database calls. But on the client side, wait, this is the thing that I'm looking for. On the client side, if you're running Blazor WebAssembly and you happen to be, running from the browser or just whatever the client side is, it does a HTTP request, which then gets routed to my server. And then my server has the server side injected service. So it's doing exactly the same call. It's just being handled by the server implementation. How is that going to work in the new .NET 8 Blazor Web App template? Let's explore that. And while I am getting ready to explore that, Findle, I will pull you into the stream room, just so you know, so you can mute the stream, and hopefully all of the sound will come through in Discord. Good day.
Hello.
Yes. Good microphone volume. Good sound.
Awesome. I need to increase the volume on this side.
Okay. Am I crackly?
Nope, not at all.
Do I have background noise?
Nope, not
Cool.
at all.
So I went back to the crisp audio source in Discord, which was the one that was causing the issues last time that you thought was your computer.
Well, the timing was perfect last time.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. I do not have a shared screen.
Oh,
I
right.
think.
Right. No, you're right. There. Ops.
There we go. Such a pretty human.
So
Or
tell
I
me
am,
what you know
depending on-
about .NET 8 Blazor, the way services would be working. Because I'm
Define
confused.
services.
Okay, so you know the way that I use services, right? You remember that? I have
Yeah.
a class, and then I have a whole bunch of interfaces for the methods that do stuff on the server.
Mhm. Yep.
And when I'm running from the client side, I do HTTP requests. When I'm running from the server side, I do the actual server resources thing, database,
Yeah.
files, etc. So that's what I'm talking about, a service. When we're running the .NET 8 Blazor web app template, and we have interactive mode auto, where it decides whether I'm going to do Blazor server, or whether it's going to run server or WASM. How does it know which service to use?
That is a very good question. Can you query it during startup? Because that is unique per, I think it is at least. I mean, when you download the WASM, you will run one startup with registering the services, and when it starts on the server, it will use another one. So if you could do that in a, if you could query what is the current interactive mode here.
Which is something that was asked. Was it on your stream? It was asked on someone's stream.
Yeah, no, someone asked about, how
Maybe it
to
was this
get
stream.
resources, and my default answer is always use a web API. That's the easy way out. Even if you're on the server, you can still use a web API connection to talk to
true
itself, right?
Yeah, it's a good
always
response.
just works.
But I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I should get into that habit, because then I have less chance of behavior being different whether I'm running on server or WebAssembly mode. Because like one trap, I don't know what to call it, one gotcha that I kept falling into was threading. So multi-threading in a Blazor server versus one thread in a Blazor WASM, which hopefully will change. And then I would run into situations where the database context is being used in multiple queries, whereas you get a new database context when you use a HTTP request.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And I mean, if you write everything so that it works in WASM, unless I'm mistaken, it will always work on the server as well.
Well, I mean, I still need something server side that will do the actual go get.
Yeah, but I meant all the service connections and doing all the database lookups and stuff. So if you write it using HTTP queries to functional endpoints, that will always work in WASM as well, even if both WASM and server, with all the rendering threads and things like that.
Right, which is cool. Right? But again, when you think about the way that I write services, then how do I inject the server service that uses the same interface when I do that API endpoint, which is still the same app that's already running?
Yes, and that is what I'm Googling for right now.
Yeah. Oh, you don't have to, because I think Scott is indicating that the Blazor web app project, when it runs server, it will run program.cs and use the services you add there. When it chooses to run WASM and it knows it's on the client, it'll use the HTTP implementation.
Oh. Well, that's the entire solution then, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same process that I'm currently doing. So
yeah,
we're going to test
and
that
then
out.
Just inject the same interface on the web API side.
Yep.
And just add a fronting HTTP endpoint for that method on the interface.
So we're definitely going to try that.
Yeah, so you'll be using this interface in a lot of places, but, well, two. Absolutely. So maybe not a lot, but...
Well, I mean, it could be lots of places if I decide to make it into a native Android app or native iOS app.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about, two implementations of it. So you'll have one client implementation, which will do an HTTP client call, and you'll have a server implementation and inject the one you need. And in the web API endpoints, you always inject the server implementation.
Yep. So let's do that real quick.
Sounds
exactly
like
the way
a
you just
good
said
plan.
to do it.
Assuming this works.
Yeah, we're gonna try.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did right click add new folder. I usually just do F2. What is this called? Services. So here's my client side services.
Never
Server-side
remember.
services.
I never ever remember the keys for something as
I
simple
love
as,
keyboard
new
shortcuts.
file. I always forget about it.
Control Shift A or Shift F2. Shift F2 brings up the easy add. Control Shift A brings up the full thing. But even if you do Shift F2, you can click this button or Alt T.
Yeah, I love the compact view. What I often do is I just click, I think, Control A, which brings
which
up
is add
like
project.
a template selector, I think.
Oh no,
Isn't it?
Control A
Or
is
is it
select
Control
all.
N?
Yeah, Control N. That's right. So this is at a
Yeah.
project.
But where do you enter the file name?
This is adding a projects or wait, what?
I mean, it's files.
It is new file. Oh, this is add a new file to the solution. Interesting.
Oh.
Interesting. So you're not
Yeah,
adding
where
it
is
to any project in general. You're adding it to the solution folder.
Well, are you?
Let's
You have
find
a
out.
HTML page 1 over there. If you hold over that, what's the path to it?
Path. MISC.
MISC files. All right. Thank you very much.
So if I look for it in our solution tree, yeah, it exists nowhere. It looks like. So maybe when you hit Control S, that's when it asks you where to save. So it's just a new file. It really is.
Okay. Yep. So it doesn't
That's
even have a
cool.
name before you Control S it.
Yeah.
Well, today I learned, right?
Yeah, Captain Converse says, I believe you meant to say the Excel context. It is the best database after all. I was just talking about that with my wife this morning. That's funny.
I remember back in the day.
Oh, TBD Gamer, I wanted to say hello to you. I'm sorry you've been feeling like poopy. I'm sending some healing energy over to you. I remember when Thindo was also feeling pretty much that bad too.
Yeah. I feel sorry for you.
I don't feel sorry. I just, I know everything's going to be better and it takes some time.
Yeah.
But you definitely
will
can
be better.
I'm just saying I don't.
Yeah, it will be better. Just remember that. I feel sorry in the way I wish that he wasn't feeling that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just, man, that's a different topic from somewhere else. But just the term sorry and being sorry.
Yeah.
The connotations of it, the way that I have adapted it to everything, it's like that should be used in rare occasions when you actually are remorseful and want to do remedial action.
Yeah.
But I know
actually
that's not the only case for it.
No, I'm actually a bit retentive about saying congratulations when someone has done something really awesome. I don't know. I don't want to, overstep. I'm good at that in other ways.
Use the language that you use.
Yeah. So I can be a bit anal retentive about saying congratulations when people have made an achievement. I kind of feel that, congratulations is something that just happens. Could be luck, could be, something that renews. But, if you've done something awesome, it's more, good job. You've gone done good. Right?
I do find myself apologizing to inanimate objects more than people. I'm with Matt. TBD Gamer said, as a British person, sorry is a normal part of my vocabulary. I have a strict never say sorry policy, and you know what? I'm not sorry. Nice, Peter. But yeah, so congratulations are a normal, they just happen. Because,
yeah, exactly. Like, it's a congratulations, you had a birthday, but it's good job you passed the test, right?
Right.
Good job you got the job, or whatever. You've done something, and that's good.
Right.
Yeah.
And are you saying that you
it's
naturally say it? Is that what you mean? Or
I've started naturally saying it, yeah.
Awesome.
In the beginning, it was kind of conscious. because for some
so now it's
reason I
more
decided I wanted to
automatic.
do it that way, but now it's automatic. So I'm not sure why I decided to do it that way.
Whoa, generate streaming. Oh, he wanted to give me an interface. Sorry, not sorry, says President. Whoa. I'll let you say
God,
his
I
name.
have an opinion there.
Say it.
You set a default value to your cancellation token,
I do too.
which means that you're not forced to send in a cancellation token,
Correct.
which means you might forget to send in a cancellation token.
False. I mean, yes, it is possible.
Yeah. I tend
like,
to
I
do
mean,
that,
that's-
which is why I always try to add it from the bottom, and that means that I have to, add it as I go up the
Right.
tree, more or less, towards the front end.
Yeah. Scott knew what I was trying to do though, and he's like, "Let me help you out. Here's a code snippet."
Yeah,
do
that's awesome. I was just having a
right.
small issue with the code snippet.
This is an AI interface. But no, I mean, I really like that take. Of course, I like takes. Right, but I need models and stuff. I'm just going to do this one for now, but we will have AI stuff, and you know that we are going to use semantic kernel. So I like your interface.
Live coding, in general, they actually just work. And that is a dangerous thing to say, but
Oh, what did he
you
say?
should
Can you read out his
cancellation tokens and making sure they work.
Oh yeah, I use them all the time for, especially like you go to a page that has drop down items, and this is the first time you're visiting that page. You haven't cached all of them. There are updates, whatever, and so you want to get all of your possible lookup items for the drop down list on that page. Do them all at the same time. User navigates away from that page. Cancel them because they're not using it. So move on to the next requests. That works.
Cancel all long-running operations when they're no longer being listened for.
Yeah, and then the other one is type ahead. When you start typing into an input field and then you pause for 200 milliseconds, whatever your debounce is, do the query to the server for look up my thing, start typing again, look up my next thing, cancel the previous request. Yeah, I love that. It works beautifully. TBD Gamer is a lurkin. Thank you so much for lurking.
DI inject a cancellation token. Oh.
A what?
I don't know about that. I mean, you want to send a cancellation token into your actual function, what you're actually doing. You don't want to dependency inject a cancellation token, do you?
It's kind of a thing. Like, if I'm understanding correctly, let's do controllers, because I'm not going to do minimal API. Add a new controller API. Okay, so this is going to be Blazor bot controller. Sure. Naming things is terrible. So when you do a HTTP endpoint, one thing that you get for free, even if you don't supply it, is a cancellation token.
Oh yeah, definitely. Sorry, I was thinking, when you do constructor injection and doing that as a dependency injection,
which I'm really concerned about that one. But with this one, would this be considered dependency injection, or is this most likely? And I'm assuming this is the case. Is this most likely because there is code generation or something that makes this method? Always get a cancellation
token? I think
token?
that's actually being called with the cancellation token by the system.
Okay, so it's
so
while the request is being
received,
token. Then we're getting a cancellation token generated at that point in time.
And that does cancel either with a timeout or a close connection.
Stop. Good stuff. President Not Sure said, I had to rip out homegrown cancellation from this app. I inherited and replaced it with cancellation token. Whoa, they wrote their own and added them whenever they should have been. They were great. Awesome. Matt needs to go to work. thank you so much for being here. Hopefully we gave you some information for your situation that you asked about, notification service. And then President Not Sure said, yeah, we don't prevent navigation from pages before the init of the page you were on has finished. So we have to cancel. Yeah, same. There's a lot of slow IO involved, and without canceling that, we get lots of weird errors. True.
Yeah, or I mean, in the simplest term, you just waste CPU cycles because you're doing calculations and reads and whatnot from the disk, and there is no one on the other end who wants it any longer.
And also API endpoints, they automatically cancel after 90 seconds.
Yes. Well, that I mean, that depends on the configuration of the server. Yeah.
But typically, if you stop connection to the server for a long-running process and you're no longer waiting for it, it still runs for 90 seconds, up to 90 seconds after, or whatever your timeout is.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, yeah.
In my case, it was Bluetooth. Bleep. Yeah, that was slow. But other times it is network/internet.
Yep.
That's variables like should cancel equals
database
false.
Operations. As long as pretty much all async calls into the APIs take a cancellation token, and in that case you should supply one. You could always default it if you don't want to, but then you have no way of canceling the call.
I'm trying to visually parse Live Code Peter's message about SIGTERM. Are you familiar with that? Do you understand his comment?
No. Most definitely not. Also, Snobble, you're following me. I was here with voice. It's like the fourth channel that we both pop into today.
I was on Fritz's, but I don't know. I can't watch people play games. I can watch them develop games.
Fritz? I wasn't on Fritz today. But...
Fritz is on right now playing Overwatch.
Oh, I did not realize.
Yeah, he's been adding some gaming streams, which is cool. Definitely cool.
Yeah.
I just can't watch people play games while I'm working.
Yeah, I tried playing a game on stream this last Sunday.
Oh yeah?
It went poorly.
Oh no.
I felt at least. It's like my brain is kind of used to commenting on programming, and all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, so I'm gonna run over here and do this, and I'll run over here and do this, and like, yeah, I can't get any real flow in this stream, if that makes sense.
Card games, like tabletop card games or electronic card games? It's all good. SIGTERM is a thing supported natively by .NET nowadays, and it makes deployments and whatnot smooth. Cool. SIGTERM is a Unix term for killing a process, if I recall correctly. Cool. And then Snubble also said, I can only watch Germans games playing card games. I wanted to read it out exactly as it was written, but I know what you mean.
Snubble, is there another way of killing things?
Kill-9. Oh, wait. SIGTERM is Kill-9. Okay. I know Kill-9. I just didn't know the term for it.
That would be SIG kill, I guess.
Yeah.
Would be just, you're going away. So yeah, that would be, I mean, a cancellation token would be a SIG term. It asks the system, please stop doing what you're doing.
So, President Not Sure. I don't like throwing exceptions because they're non-performant, and if you have way too many of them being thrown, it can really hinder your app. But for things like HTTP requests, I do prefer throw up cancellation requested and then put everything in a try catch. I think that is the default on cancellation tokens provided to the API controller.
I believe so as well. I believe so as well, because if you run an endpoint and you have a breakpoint in it, this is the annoying things with cancellation tokens. If you're debugging it, all of a sudden it will just stop with the exception, timed out or cancellation was requested. I'm like, I know, but I'm debugging this call. Please go away.
Yeah. And so what you do for that is in debug, you set the timeout, the HTTP timeouts to something like 20 minutes. That's what I do at least.
How, where, how, why?
In the HTTP client, you are able to, when initializing it, set the timeout time. We'll do that here with this app too.
But how would I do that when I'm visiting a page from a web browser?
Oh yeah. Wait, I mean, what? If you're,
Yeah,
what
if
you
it's
would
not
do
an
is a
API
hash of
endpoint,
debug.
if it's not a...
I'm assuming that the endpoint or the location that you're hitting is on your controlled code.
Yes.
Yeah, so hash if debug, when you're making your HTTP client, you're configuring it, you set the timeout.
Oh, wait, no, sorry. I meant, I have a web endpoint, a web page, a web or a, controller action. And then I visit that endpoint using a web browser, like give me this page. So it's not in Blazor in this case.
So it would be in your server project that is that page, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's still a setting in here somewhere.
I can set it on. All right. Yeah, I'll have to look.
Essentially, you're saying that you're not controlling the HTTP request itself. You're
I'm not controlling the client, right?
Yeah. Gotcha. Many words. Would you mind reading from Peter's, I think, the key? Indel.
Read what?
From Peter's, I think, the key to dealing with. I'm gonna try to type stuff.
I will need to jump over to
oh no, if it's work for you then now.
I think the key to dealing with cancellation tokens is coming back around to the topic, implementing something and never apologizing for it.
Oh yeah. I like that.
What? I think the key to dealing with cancellation tokens is coming back. Let's ignore coming back around to the topic.
So the cancellation token CT equals default, I think. Or no, the custom cancellation token that President Nasher was talking about. Was it President Nasher? I'm good at keeping track of this stuff. I don't know. I don't really remember which one you were talking about. Point is never apologize. Oh, going back to the topic of never apologizing. So the people that created their custom cancellation system, implement it, don't apologize for it. Just do it.
Yes.
Or cancellation tokens mean do something and never apologize. I don't know, man. I'm sorry. I lost track. I apologize. It's
Don't worry. Two of us are confused.
Well, I mean, you're always confused, aren't you?
Yeah, it's kind of my default mode, so.
So am I. We should join a club. I accept this. Oh, sometimes my jokes are lame. Anyway, please continue.
Yeah.
What else do we have? Oh, I was going to respond to...
Well, we started doing tons of other things about cancellation tokens because interfaces and default values, and then we kind of derailed from there. So, interface for services.
A question that I would have for you, since you're on voice and you get to answer everything that I ask if you have an opinion on it. When you do your catches, you've heard the opinion that you should do a catch for specific things, Operation Canceled Exception, a catch for, I don't know, null reference exception, which is never going to happen in my code ever again. Thank you, nullability. Or do you do one catch all with a switch, and then you do case Operation Canceled Exception, do this thing, which is usually handle, do nothing. Everything else.
If you can handle it, then catch it with that specific exception type. Because otherwise you'll have to start doing a task and yada yada.
But that's what this is.
Or sorry, a cost. Yeah, I know, but I mean, Yeah, you have, if this is a null reference, I can handle a null reference because I know what I need to do at this point. If it's a integer overflow, well, I know what I need to do when it's an overflow. If I don't know what to do with this type of exception or this kind of input, then I'll rethrow it. So that would be, the top case there would be in a catch instead.
I forget which order. So I know that TSECs are in, or task canceled exceptions are inside of operation canceled exceptions. My argument for doing this is that I always forget what the syntax is, if there is even syntax, to catch multiple exceptions within one catch thing. And so if I have multiple exceptions that are doing the same thing, then in this switch switch statement, I almost called it a switch expression, you can specify multiple exception types, do the thing you want to do with those multiple exception types if they're the same logic, and then everything else handle a different way.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can catch multiple different types of exceptions.
Yeah, I remember some kind of syntax that I don't know, maybe I dreamt it. It was like
you do catch, new line, catch, new line.
Yeah, trying them in order like that. Let's see. Task canceled. Operation canceled. And I think it expects a body immediately after. Yeah, so no, you would have to have a body.
Yeah.
Yeah. President Not Sure says, but well, many of them up here. I use exception filters too. Yeah, we're way up here. Case exception when. Oh yeah, so it is when.
But that would still be catch exception when, which means you would have to start casting it.
Yeah.
Stuff, right?
Oh, this is TC. Yeah, so this is why I kind of prefer this approach. It's just easier for me to keep track of. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see it.
Many of the chats. We're not keeping up on reading stuff. I found performance impact by throwing catching exceptions to not have any impact compared to the impact of not canceling as soon as possible and cleaning up quickly. Yeah, I like that. Oh, man.
Yeah, I think building the whole stack trace and everything used to be way more inefficient and costly. I think it's fairly cheap today.
That was Scott's point. Don't need that. And then catch operation exception. The weird thing is, I've put both. I've continued to. I haven't started. I started a long time ago. Started putting both task canceled exception and operation canceled exception because it seemed like when the task canceled exception happens, which is you cancel the process while it's running by doing cancellation token source.cancel or ct.cancel. I don't know how to send the cancellation from the cancellation token itself.
Request cancellation, I think.
Oh, is it request? Yeah, I don't think you can do it from the cancellation token itself, but the source.
No, you need source. You're correct.
Yeah. So when you cancel from the source, I believe that throws a task canceled exception, which is a specific type of operation canceled exception. So it should also be caught by operation canceled exception. And then when the application itself, or like your HTTP request times out, or you move away from the page and call cancel from the client side, that throws an operation canceled exception on the server. So what was happening is when I was doing both WASM and server, I was getting different behavior when I was only catching the operation canceled exception. and I wasn't getting the task canceled exception with that one. So I was getting unexpected behavior. So I catch both. That's what I'm
I
trying
do
to
not
say.
approve of this behavior.
I know. Because like if you put them in this order, it's like you're already handling task canceled exception with the operation canceled exception. So you shouldn't need that. So maybe I just need to start getting out of the habit again. And we'll run with that. Yeah, exactly, Scott. But it's kind of like you can't really cast from a parent class to a base class. Yeah. Right? That's the way you can't cast.
I don't know.
It's something. There's just so many
What
words that I
Scott
need
said.
to catch up on, though. What did he say? What did he
I don't
said?
know. He said, I don't know,
Oh, shrugs.
with an emote.
But I absolutely have no problem with throwing and catching exceptions. If I need code further up the call stack to know about the cancellation in order. Yeah, one of the main places I throw exceptions is in void methods when it actually is something that shouldn't be allowed. And so you as a developer should know not to do that kind of thing. So I want you to know if you're using one of my libraries where you're doing it incorrectly, then you get an argument exception or whatever else.
Yeah, you really should know better.
Yeah. But most of the time for my HTTP requests, all of my HTTP controller endpoints are in some form where they return a response model of whatever it is, and that thing is nullable. But it will always return something.
Okay, so you always like wrap everything in an envelope.
Yes. Yep.
All right.
And that can be as simple as just the response model that has, here's some error messages that might have happened. The case where that's dangerous is if it's like a 404 or a 401 or any other error that prevents you from being able to get JSON back from your request. My client side is like, I was expecting JSON. I found an invalid character. Open caret. I mean, open angle bracket.
But if you return an action response instead of just a type, I think that's a type. Or action result.
Oh, yeah,
I think
yeah.
you can return things like not found and include.
So what I did before is something as generic as that. But again, this doesn't guarantee that if I am properly handling this, that I'm going to send back JSON.
No, but you can do action result and include the type. Right there. You could do, your model, right?
Yeah, and that was actually something that I was confused about, because your templates get set up with iAction results. The .NET framework templates are set up with regular action result when they were just inheriting from controller. But all of the API samples are return the actual type.
Yeah.
So
I think the upside there of using the iAction result, which can also wrap in a task, of course, is that you can also send out information in, for example, a 404, not found. I think you can add a payload to that.
I mean, I don't
so that would give you kind of the same thing. You have like, invalid operation or bad request, and you could send out an object. Yeah. So that way you have the error HTTP response, but you can also send an object out with, the error information.
Yeah, which is what I typically do with this response model thing.
Yeah, but I mean, you can get the correct HTTP code out as well to have the client able to handle that as a 404, for example.
Yeah, I like that because, I mean, what this does for me is it always returns okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way that
Even
I was
if
doing
it's
it
not
before.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, even
I
if
would
it's not
always
okay.
return okay. And then the way that I
Mhm.
would know that it wasn't okay is by inspecting my request model dot was error instead of
Mhm.
getting the true HTTP request error. Well, I think the reason I went to that is because the HTTP request error would always be an error 500 on production. Internal server error. Because there's something I did wrong in the API. As opposed to it was a bad request.
Yeah, would you return an OK instead of 404 as well?
Right, exactly. I mean, I would never return a 404 from my API controller.
You
it would get automatically
want to
returned.
do that, I
because it can.
believe.
Do I?
Well, it's a restful
I
way,
guess.
but
I guess.
you don't always need to be restful. Some people are, again, anally retentive about restfulness.
Right.
And then as soon as they start doing anything other than CRUD, things start getting complicated.
Yeah, like what do I do with the search request that has form data? Is that a post? No, I'm not adding new data. Is that a put? No, I'm not updating anything. I'm doing a get, but with form data. So where do I put that? I was so distraught when I was thinking about that the first time. And now I'm just like, it's a post. Just do it as a post.
Yeah. Instead of doing it live, you do it in post.
Get it. Oh, so many words to read. Oh my gosh, you guys are being so active, which I love. By the way, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Let me catch up on chat. In the elder days of WPF, we had a button click handler that we used for all buttons, lots of code reused via an ugly delegate. Snubble said, but the big thing for me, if I only throw on bad stuff, I can run until exception thrown and the debugger stops on the bad thing. But if I use exceptions for not real bad stuff, then I might not be able to debug stuff like that. I mean, you should, because you'll still see the exception if you're catching those things, or yeah, even if you're not catching them. But Schnabel said, I do the exception with switch this way. Peter said, so to answer, I wouldn't care if you do a switch or cascading try-catch thing. I care more about whether you reuse the code, for example, reuse for all UI events. That's a good one, because I write this a lot. And so maybe I need to extract it out into a method that just says, feed me what the error message text is. Give me the exception and then your intended output message or method name. I don't know. I'll show you an example of that too. Multiple catches. See my messages above. Catch exception when case. Yeah. So the when goes on the outside of the parents. Dukasoft is here. And he caught the flipped exception. President Not Sure said, well, you can have any exception type and the when can be any cases. The reason that the reason that I can remember that people have given for not doing catch-all is because then you won't know when your application is really breaking for something that you want to pay attention to. And that's why I throw down here. It doesn't mess up the call stack because I'm not doing something like throw exception, which would reset the call stack to this point. So this is still maintaining the same call stack and just rethrowing the exception so that it passes through. Then I can add a case easily if I need to handle that specific exception or fix my code because I'm doing something that I really intended not to do. So that's why I still like this approach better, because I will see easily when I'm getting exceptions that I wasn't expecting. Yeah, and then we talked about task canceled, operation canceled. covariance and contravariance confused. What properties are you inspecting? All of them. I don't know what you mean. Why would you want to cast? Oh, for the operation exception, for the catch-all exceptions with the switch and then needing to cast is because I only want to handle specific exception types. That's why. And then everything else I want to let raise an exception. I don't cast exceptions. Oh man, I have strong thoughts on returning 404. Yeah, I don't like, I can understand returning 404 because it literally means resource not found. So if maybe you're doing a file request and your endpoint is file question mark doc name or number or ID or whatever equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that document doesn't exist on disk, return 404, not found. Manually. So that's, I can see cases for it. I don't know.
Like, what's the difference between requesting /document ID 123 or document 123.pdf?
Right.
I mean, if they don't exist, they both should return a 404.
Right.
In my opinion. Even though the endpoint exists, I mean, it has nothing to return.
Yeah, but in that case, that is a... but is it? That could be a bad request because you're specifying a document that doesn't exist on the server. So I don't know.
Well, then you return a no content instead. I have nothing to say about this.
Yeah. That's tough. Post
my point on this.
Use divs.
Oh, divitis. Aren't you, quotation mark, allowed to invent your own tags these days? Only they'll be basically divs.
Are they divs? I don't know.
You can call them whatever you want. Well, they can be divs if you CSS them correctly, right?
Oh yeah, I mean they are just whatever you want them to be. They're placeholder names, unless of course they are custom HTML elements, in which case they have full logic with them, if you code them up correctly.
If I wanted to create a thimble tag, I could do that.
Yeah, or not even need to create it. You just write it and use it.
Yeah. That's what I meant with create. Like, I'll just use this and it'll do a thing, or it'll do no thing, but it'll be
it might kill semantic HTML, but whatever.
And that's someone else's problem, right?
Someone else. It's my problem.
Or it's my problem because I broke the internet. So.
Peter said, my biggest argument is that we should never have our code return 404, 503, or 504 or whatever, because me, the angry ops man, has to figure out what it means if there is a 404. 404 expected is terrible. 404, the thing that Thindle just told us about and made us aware of is if you do IActionResult with a type, at least in .NET APIs, IActionResult with a type, then when you return not found, you could still give it object data, and that will give you the context of why we are throwing this 404. So you wouldn't have to parse mentally, unless the only thing you're looking at is the HTTP log, in which case that is kind of hard to see. But at the same time, if you're only looking at the HTTP log and you're always returning okay, then you don't know which request might have had an error. And hello to Violet Dragon, you had enough points. Crazy. Where are we at? Use post one time when I needed to pass a lot of data in the request, and there's a limit to how much I could pass. 1024 by default, I think, or 512. I don't remember, but you can change that size. In the query string, I got blowback from my boss, and that was because it wasn't pure, but I just told him why I had to use post in that case. I think you can, on the server, specify that you can pass up to 2048 characters in your URL. I forget, it's been a long time since I had to do that. How are my tabs in color? In Visual Studio, by default, there's this little sprocket that you can click on, Visual Studio Community 2022 or any of the other versions. 2022. You can do color documents by tab. Or color document tabs by. I'm dyslexic, okay? Give me a break. I don't really get dogmatic about Rust. Me either. Like I wanted to be, because I want to do things the right way and the intended way, but because of all of these situations I ran into where none of the official Rust rules fit, and it took a lot of research, then I'm like, we'll do Rust-ish instead of RESTful. What else? Peter said to Schnabel, look, people will shame you, but I prefer that over the alternative. For divs for everything, or posts for everything, or both. Scott said, I never try catch an API level. I do it in services where it handles all the errors true and return the response DTO true. Yes, absolutely. All of my, did I actually close Finan Man? All of my,
I agree. A 404 would be a null response from the service, for example. I found nothing here.
Oh, yeah.
And then the endpoint will change that into a 404.
Was that another comment down below that I missed? All of my controller endpoints are just passed through to the service call directly.
Mm-hmm.
No try catch, no nothing. The service methods themselves do the exception handling if it's appropriate. If not, they raise exceptions. And then it's up to the closest to the UI thing to handle the exceptions. That's the approach that I decided to take. I know you can choose either side.
And why is this great?
Because you can customize your messages to the user. That's my
Because
reasoning.
it'll work both on the server and the client.
Oh, yeah. True.
With the same expected output from the service.
Yeah. And that way the service is just consistent everywhere, and then you handle whatever exceptions are raised. I just do my best not to need to raise exceptions. That's all.
Exceptions should only be used in exceptions.
Yeah. If I can expect a thing is going to happen, like a null field or a file not found or whatever, then I check for, does this file exist first, instead of saying, go and get this file, raise an exception if you can't find the file.
100% concur.
I get 1,000 exceptions before they get one. Oh, that's what you were talking about. I see. The rest of SCOD's message and return the response error into the API level, and depending on error type, return not found for not found, etc. Interesting. So your controllers actually do have logic, though, for determining based off of your DTO that you get back to the controller whether to, or which HTTP status to return. So it's kind of a mix between what Tyndall was saying and what I was saying. That's cool. I like that. Restful. Oh no, this looks like it's going to be a funny. Can I just open this in a new tab? I get adverts. Blech. Yeah, so you do validation on the server side and the client side for convenience. And then you do the request to your service. Yeah, this is, to me, just because of how I've been coding lately, this is too much logic in the controller. My controllers are just simple, forward the request to the service. And then the service does the validate model.
Yeah. I would put the validate model inside of the service. I would keep I'd probably return null from the registered company, since it looks like you're returning the company that was just registered. And then I would have a if null return bad request, for example. Otherwise return okay with the
I do like
new
this
company,
approach,
right?
though. He's just leveraging model state that you get in the controller. So, I mean, that also makes a lot of sense.
Yep, it does.
It's all good
Just
practice.
I very rarely use
Pragmatism.
fluent validation that way. Or like attribute-based validation, which you can do manually, by the way. You can run it in whatever context you
Oh,
want.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do the model is valid thing
Right.
wherever.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree, it's not wrong. It's just not how I might have done it.
Right.
Yeah.
I love I actually saw Peter shake President's hand and Schnabel's hand at the same time. He crossed his arms over each other.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Don't shake Snobel's hand.
You responded to Peter saying, I'm waiting for him to catch up and I'll say my opinion on 404s, which we are caught up. So did you already give your full opinion on 404s?
Yeah, I wrote it instead, which is
okay.
basically the payload thing.
Okay. There's a setting for it in VS. Oh, for the colorized tabs. Thank you for responding to him faster than me, Duga. Duga. You're the best. Isn't Duga the best?
Duga, mushroom.
President
Can't
Usher
not
said, yeah,
hear it
totally
anymore.
using switch case. Whoa. Oh my gosh, that always freaks me out. So we've had a a big snowstorm in our area. It wasn't that big over here, but it started with rain and then snow fell on top of it, and now it's like sliding off of our rooftop and just slams down into the window well, which is right next to me. So I see a shadow pass and then a loud noise. So it freaks me out. It's really distracting. Can you make that not happen, please? We are devs. We can argue about every small detail. True. And then the good devs will move forward with, even if their point is not fully accepted or realized, they'll move forward with whatever the consensus happens to be and work with
I concur.
and make it happen. I have to do that a lot on my team. 404 is
Having
extra
a boss
brutal,
saying
for
this is how we're
testing
going to do it and not listen to anything. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Having someone with a good idea and like some kind of leadership role is great, but they need to be able to listen.
Yeah. I mean, like, okay, so you brought it up. I didn't want to complain. I don't like complaining, but
No,
exactly what you said.
It's not meant that way.
I have a project manager who is technical, he's knowledgeable, he has skills, and he has preferred approaches to solutions. However, when I am assigned a work item, a task, a feature, a bug, I am going to complete it and implement it the way that I believe it is the best approach. He feels like he needs to stop at every step and say, you need to do it this way because this is how I would do it. It would be cool
That's
if, and I do love that
micromanaging.
phrase. Yeah. And I love the phrase, it would be cool if, but at the same time, it's like when you say it would be cool if, as a project manager, you're kind of doing scope creep. Like someone else giving that idea is just like, that's exciting to me. I want to explore that. A project manager giving that to me is like, you're just doing scope creep and preventing me from completing my work item. So that's my 5-second rant. I'm dropping it.
I 100% agree, and it's dropped.
Oh, you don't have to drop it. I was just saying that I'm gonna stop myself from complaining further because I could go for the rest of the stream.
No, but I mean, I 100% agree. It's like, sure, have an opinion, and on the other hand, sure, try to follow what the team does, but at the same point, don't micromanage every little single thing because we are developers and we know what we're doing, hopefully.
Yeah.
And we make good decisions.
Now that you say that, I think that is my biggest issue with it is like feeling undervalued or like he doesn't trust me to make the right decisions. It's like, how many work items have I completed that have never needed to be recompleted?
2.
You should trust me now. Yeah. Only 2. You should trust me by now.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I hate, things like technical interviews and more or less these, you have to do this and turn in that code. Yeah, I think I might have talked about that before, haven't I?
I kind of remember having a full conversation with people on your stream and talking about the Google
Yeah.
interview, or maybe that was TBD's stream.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love watching you
Basic
guys
idea. I've
stay
been
like
doing this for
converge.
20 years. If I didn't know what I was doing, I wouldn't have been doing this for
Right.
20 years. Trust me.
But do you do it the way that I expect you to do it? That's kind of what it comes down to. It's like,
Well, I don't
no.
think a technical interview will answer that.
I mean, that's how they
Social
treat
fit
it, though.
interviews, 100%, but
Yeah.
just like, yeah, I know how to build a linked list. And I also
Right.
know that I no longer have to build a linked list. I
Exactly.
don't need to show you. The important
And
thing is I know what a linked list is, and I do
so
after all of these years.
I get it for the interview that I had because it was for an infrastructure position where you're actually trying to optimize this thing for massive amounts of requests. And so you need to know what is the best way to do this. You most likely have to come up with your manual way because the stock ways are not good enough to handle this.
Yeah.
So it was
But
just
that
still
I haven't
like
done that for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. It was still like
Yeah.
I came up with a really good solution, but it wasn't the right one. It wasn't the one that he was looking for. It's like, well, given that this was only 30 minutes and I came up with this type of solution, what would it be like if I was able to spend multiple days on this? But you need to be a 10x developer though. So you can't spend days on one thing. We should probably
10x don't exist, right?
I'm right here. I'm kidding. I am kidding.
I think there are developers who will raise up other developers, but there are no, magic people who can do the job of 10 people. Those don't exist.
I can do the job of 4 people. I'll say that. And I'm not trying to say that in a full of myself way. I'm saying that in a I have done this way.
Yeah, but I think that more or less shows, and take this the right way, I think that more or less shows that the other developers are 25% developers, not that you are a 400% developer.
Oh, true. Right. And I do agree with that. Absolutely.
And I think that a single developer can make the rest of their team be at 1.25. If that makes sense.
I agree.
Can, raise the rest of the team up.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But hopefully in a positive way
even
and
more.
Not only competitive. Because I know that competitive does also contribute to that, but I'd prefer it to be more like a synergetic thing where one person starts performing and then everyone's like, ooh, I'm getting this energy with you. I want to perform too.
Yeah. Yep.
No, I want to do better than you, or you're outperforming me, so I need to step up my game.
No, that breeds what's it called? Yeah, bad culture. There's a word for it.
I can't think of it.
It's much better, if we can raise each other up instead.
Yeah. Dissent.
Yep.
What else do we have? I'm like 8 minutes from the end of from catching up in chat. And rising. 404 response body error 500. Nice. But yeah, to Peter's comment on 404s, he was adding in there. Also think about that response going through reverse proxy and then to your code and trying to rebuild that entire request line. That sounds terrible. I agree. Snubble said, that's a good one. I think we're probably moving towards to only having 200 and 500. I'm okay with that. And then just have a response body always that gives the details. And then we're looking into the protobuf message to find the error. Yeah, essentially. Mine would be response body, but protobuf works too. Violet Dragon said, finally, because he was able to use the what's up. Dang, that was like 15 minutes ago. Literally. Like just now, 15 minutes ago, I just looked at my log. So I'm 15 minutes behind chat. Petition to keep 418. I want to keep them all so that we can keep using the cat errors. Because they're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
418 is life. What is 418? Tell me.
Not a teapot.
Not a
Oh,
teapot.
sorry, I am a teapot. I am a teapot. Is the one.
Oops. My blanket skirt is falling off. Stay up. My legs are freezing. In some cases, I passed way more than allowed in a query string. Like, pass an image bytes, like the entire base 64 encoded image in the URL string, query string. I bet Elon Musk is petitioning for an HTTP response. I am Elon. I was
Just write an RFC, right?
RFC? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, anyone can write an RFC.
Yeah. Rest is a place to start. Yeah, internal APIs are nice. I still do all of mine in a thoughtful manner, but I don't feel as tightly restricted by standards that some other consumer externally would need to be able to just pick up and run with. Never have gotten used to ASP.NET architecture. I like my approach, at least for Blazor apps. We'll see if it sticks and if it works. I'm going to have plenty of opportunities. Thank you for posting the community day message, Dukasoft. Did anyone else happen to hop into a voice channel? Not yet. Technically, it was only really REST if you passed all state up to the server, at least where I was working. And that was simply impractical. So I figured I was doing it wrong and didn't care. I wonder if you could use
your REST gets
cookies.
very complicated as soon as you go beyond CRUD.
Yep. So not looking on my project, right? Today is Friday, which is Community Day, which is Bot Day. So nope. Yes, that makes it rest. I don't really remember what that one was for. Chronic is here. Hello, Chronic. All my controllers call CQRS command queries. All CQRS return a wrapper query result. That's kind of what mine do, yeah. Or a command result. Then have middleware to adjust the status code depending on the status of the result wrapper in enum field. Mine is just I allow you to add text to a list of string for error messages. For debug, list of exception, and that only happens in debug. For list of validation, errors, which is an object. And then if any of those are non-empty, then it says it was an error. And then you can display using the information that you get back. What was his name again? Umberto. He had a special name I don't remember.
I know this person.
Dear unknown name, do you would like to have, I love saying that way too. Do you would like to have a look at my calculator today? I can look at your calculator today because it needs to be looked at. I get it. Yes, a fellow vertical slices believer, hopefully. Welcome to chat. We are not alone. I mean, we are alone. Who was saying vertical slices? Oh, Chronic.
Plain vertical slices.
That's a Peter thing. He's gonna have to be the one. I looked at his reference multiple times, and I just don't commit patterns to memory like that. Like I come up with my own patterns, and then I commit those to memory. And if it happens to follow something like microservices or clean architecture or whatever, cool. But project manager scope creeping sounds like an anti-project manager. Yes, and that is what ours is. You completed it successfully.
I try to build what I think would be modular monoliths.
Yeah,
AKA, I tried to build my code
a
in a way that I could split it up into services at a later date if that's necessary.
But you have it all in one solution or set of projects.
So everything is in one project, but I mean, we're basically at what you're doing right now. I'll have an interface that does the thing. I'll try to keep that separate enough that I could replace that interface with something that
Oh,
calls
yeah.
out.
Yeah, especially for testing.
Yep.
I like that approach. That's my favorite approach.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know what to call it, and I like modular monolith.
I blame Layla for that one.
Cool. Yeah, and I remember you said that was actually her talk, right? At
Yep.
Sweet Hug.
Yep.
So see, and that's another case where it's like I heard it before, but I acted just now like I had heard it for the first time, and then you reminded me it was Layla, and I'm like, wait, you told me this before. I remember now. Because I don't care for names of
things.
things.
Don't always remember everything, right?
I like the pattern of it, but not the name of it.
Yep.
I won't be able to remember names. Don't get
At
me
a
started
customer
on
of mine, I got an assignment to figure out a good way to do undo. So I sat down and I thought about it for a little bit, and then I presented 2 different options for him. Like the architecture or architect. It was like, yeah, so this is the mnemonic pattern. I can't say that word, but and this is this other pattern. I'm like, I don't know. I just thought of this as an idea on how to solve this problem. Like, I don't know what it's called, and I'm not. Yeah, what? Why?
Yeah,
Yes, it's a solution to our current problem.
Equality, you were 100% correct. If they're 5%, then I'm only at 20%. Terrible. That is true. That is very true. Thank you, Dukasoft. I will click the link very shortly once I catch up on chat.
Are we talking about the 10x developers right now?
Yeah, that's where we're back to. I have seen 0.1x developers. Hater talk. And then Schnabel said, I'm one of those. Yeah, and it's kind of weird.
Developer.
It's weird because I feel like I get a lot more done than a lot of my team members in a given day. And granted, we have different kinds of work. We have one that's specifically working on revamping our test runner service that was specific for our app to a service that can be used by any application running on this type of device by just calling some either HTTP endpoint, Signal R endpoint, whatever his implementation of it is going to be, gRPC hopefully. But it seems like the progress that he makes on it is, we don't need to print the I'll have a true. I'll have a demo for you ready in 3 weeks. And by that time, I've already done a demo for the login mechanism. I've done a demo for the connecting to the rest of the API stuff for another API service mechanism, and I've revamped the UI to fit all of these things. And it's just like, does it really take that much work, or are you purposefully sitting back a little bit because we can bill for this time? I don't know. My conspiracy theorist mind says I just want to do as little work as I can.
I'm going to say something horrible, but the fact is that I've had a really bad week productivity-wise. And it does happen, so maybe that was why things took way too long.
You said bad week, right?
Yeah.
This is like,
but this is a recurring thing. Okay. Well, maybe he's not a 10x.
Where's the calculator? Oh, it's right here. So, if you all remember, when I was doing the calculator in the financial management service application, financial management tracking application, I wanted to add a calculator. Max was like, hey, you know what? I'll put one together for you. He did it in JavaScript, and we used that as our template for the calculator that we turned into C#. We found some interesting situations that were happening with it, but he remade it, and now it is working completely. Ooh. Interesting. Remove the last character. Is that what this button is supposed to do? I was always wondering what that does on the calculator.
C minus.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to do that on the equals. Because that's a result that you shouldn't be able to remove numbers from. I don't know. Maybe you can.
C has always confused me. I just want a, remove, like a, backspace.
Yeah. Which I
then
think
again, I always
that's the
hated,
approach we took.
the memory keys.
Yeah. I didn't even do memory. My favorite thing on the current Windows calculator is that memory is on the right. Or memory and history.
Yes, you can just click it. Instead of, storing it in registers and...
Right. But apparently there is a memory tab that I've never, ever used. Like, why did that store 6? Because that's the last number that I pushed?
Yeah, that's why.
I don't get it either.
And then you have to remember what you pushed and why and where, and then you want to pop like the 4th number down, and how are you going to do that? And
I like this better. But anyway, I do like that this calculator definitely looks like it's working better than the even the one that I put together. Let's be honest. Financial management calculator part still has a bunch of bugs, even though we have testing for it.
Well, they're not that simple, really.
I mean, when
you go
move
beyond, just plus and minus. See, great minds.
It's like, what happens when you push equals after you push plus? It's like
what happens if you push equals before you press equals, or after you press equals?
Yeah, like, is this really expected behavior? You push 5 plus and then equals, and then you get 5 plus 5 because that was the last number typed in. And then you keep pushing equals and it's plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. It's like, are you sure that that isn't confusing? And these are, like if you're making your own calculator without using standard practices and you're trying to do it off the top of your head, you're like, well, the first time that I did it, I pushed 5 plus, and whatever number showed here is what I added when I pushed 5. So that means the next time I push equals, it should add 10. But no, it only adds 5 because I'm only replacing. It's like, and that's the decision. And then you flip the calculator.
You start thinking about, if I divide 1 by 3, will that store 0.3333, or will that store 1 divided by 3 as a fraction, which can then use to do more calculations on?
Which would help with floating point errors.
Yep. But which would also complicate things.
It does complicate things,
but it would also complicate things, so...
Well, like, if you keep the entire calculation string
as fractions, and then and then you parse the string to make an output,
and then you only tag on to the end the additional part.
So what you're saying is, I should have said this a long time ago.
A long time ago. That's a really good idea. I'm writing it down though.
I think, without knowing, that that's how most calculators do it, but don't quote me on it.
I like it though, regardless of whether most calculators do it or not. So yeah.
And when I say most, I mean like, actual scientific pay
TI 95
$200. Yeah, exactly.
Which I don't think are a thing. The thing that it means to me is that we're also tracking a lot of stuff. So let's say that I input 5 times 6. Then I'm still tracking the entire 5 times 6 equals plus 6. I would need to display 30 plus 6 equals 36, but now I'm keeping track of 5 times 6 parentheses plus 6 parentheses, and then whatever my next operation is.
Yep. So you take each operation and just put that in parents or parentheses
brackets
or
for you.
brackets.
Sorry.
Yeah. Parentheses
But I'm still
is the technical word.
tracking, or not tracking, but able to, I guess it's tracking, display the list of prior operations and what that one operation's syntax is.
Yeah. But you want to, show the result of the previous calculation, but you want to store the calculation
entire
as a fraction
5
with
times
the parents and everything.
Right.
Yeah. Did I mention that this would be a bit more complicated?
I mean, I want to do that. When we remake the calculator, I want to do that. Was there anything that you wanted to point us to on your calculator? Oh, he stepped away. Of course he did. You don't have to worry about only IP logger, bitliner, blah, blah, blah. And yeah. So nothing special to pay attention to other than it works better. And so, cool. Ow. Where was I? I was on Ludum Dare. No. Like Gunde Svan raised, or just Swan, raised the rest of the Swedish skiing team. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
Gunde Svan is a skier.
Okay. Yes.
So we're back to, a 10x developer is actually
Yeah.
maybe 0.5 developer, but that brings the entire team up.
Yeah, I mean, you're joking, Snubble, but like I have no choice with myself but to perform the way that I perform. I'm not going to decrease my level of performance because it would make the rest of my team look bad, and I'm not going to purposefully increase my performance to make the rest of the team look bad or to make me look better than someone else. I'm going to perform at the level that I perform at. It just seems like, and I could just be full of myself, it seems like it is above the typical developer, at least on my current team.
Yeah, but
or the
above
previous
average.
developers
Half
that
of
used
us
to work
are
for
above
Remake.
average, right? Half-ish.
I mean, I don't know what the bell curve looks like, but
above
I would
the
say
median.
yes.
Yeah, but half of us are above the median, so.
I mean, it could just be that we have 1,100% and 30%. I don't know. And then everyone else falls at like 25%. I don't know. I don't know
either.
Lan wants to look at your calculator. I did. You're pattern blind, like being face blind, but for programming patterns. That's exactly what it is. It's whatever the thing is where you can see a person, you know them, but you don't know their name. So I don't know if that's face blind. I think face blind is you just aren't capable of remembering people's faces. This one is I remember the face, but I can't remember the name.
I am great at forgetting people based on faces. I know exactly who they are if I know. It
sounded like you're going in this positive direction, and you're like, I am great at forgetting.
Yeah.
People.
Anyway, like I went to a party once, and I opened the door, and there was this girl who's like, "Oh, Eric, hi, welcome. I missed you." I'm like, "Hi." I still don't know who she was.
Waiting for you to give me a clue about who you are.
I still remember it. Yeah. No, I mean, you can't say that, right?
Yeah, I do. I'm like, hi. And you are?
Hi. I'm not sure how drunk I was when I met you, but hi.
Like, the main thing is you think you're protecting the other person by not saying, I have no idea who you are. I don't remember you. Yeah. But when they're telling you all this stuff and you're kind of acting like, yeah, I remember, I think that's more...
I mean, it's a little bit false.
It's a little bit more offensive. Is that the word?
Yeah, it's a bit false.
Yeah.
Double-faced.
It speaks to a person that will peacock, that'll say, yeah, I know how to do that thing, and then not know how to do it. Just say you don't know how to do the thing. Just do that.
I just started over. It's like, I'll pretend I know who
Programming?
this person is,
Oh.
and then, I'll just go from there.
You only tab words about the link. Oh, already read that. Okay. Nothing will execute on this computer without my permission, Max. I mean, Violet Dragon. C is C and fusing. Looks pretty cool. Yeah. So it looks
Just lost
like
on that. I mean,
it's working really
yeah,
well.
sorry, go.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. Just lost on the whole face thing and not remembering people. It's like, it doesn't happen that often that it's that bad, because this was like 10 years ago and I still remember it. So it's not like a daily thing, Just so you don't think that, I'm trying to fool people all over the place that I know them.
But I mean, it's normal. It's a normal human behavior, because it would be a socially awkward situation where someone is like, hey, I know you well enough that I recognize you from across the room, and you don't recognize me. That must mean you're a terrible person. And you don't want to be a terrible person. You don't want to come off as a terrible person. So you're like, yeah, I remember you.
Yeah.
Remember you? Let's just have a conversation until I actually do remember you.
Exactly. That was my idea, and I never remembered who she was. So we started over and we had great fun. Still don't know her name though.
Well,
but again, this was 10 years ago. I can still remember this party, so.
And where did we meet? And I don't remember anything. Like, okay, here's
the say that after spending 2 hours that evening. It's like, oh, by the way, I have no idea who you are.
I told that to my college roommate. So I'm going to say close friends, because I hung out with this dude just about every day. Paramount guys, if you're out there, hi. Hope you're doing well. Hope things are amazing. But we became friends, in my mind, in high school around my junior year. But apparently, I had been friends with him since middle school. We went to the same school. We were in band together, in the drum section together. We talked a lot. And then...
And he remembered everything about you, and you were like, oh.
And I knew nothing about him. I'm like, I really don't remember knowing you in middle school. And of course, it's like, being his friend when I told him that, it was easy to say, but I'm sure I would have been like, hey, Umberto. He's like, hey, Umberto. And I'm like, hi? You're saying that like you know me? It's like, yeah, we were friends in middle school. Oh, okay. I believe you. I don't remember it, but I believe
you. If you say so.
So how have you been? Sure. So, like, let me stop streaming for 10 days and then come back and try to remember who everyone is. Dukasoft, you've been in my stream before? I don't remember you. Oh, that's funny.
Duka has a nickname, and that I can remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can remember what Duka did like 5 years ago. No, because I didn't know Duka then, but you know what I mean. I have a weird memory.
Oh, here's the code.
But I think most of us do, right? We remember odd stuff that are very unimportant in our daily lives.
I feel like, and I could just be making this up, and I try to be honest with myself when I say things like this, but I feel like from the ages between 6 and around 12 to 14, I have very little to no recollection. Like the way that you remember things, for me, it's visual. It's very, I can relive moments that I remember. I can't remember moments from that age range. Like I can't picture them. I don't know the sights, the smells, the sounds. I know the stories that my parents have told, but that's about it.
I remember things as, more or less a story, except for the bad things. Those I relive.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a really bad thing.
It's such a weird thing that our brains do with that.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot easier, especially when you're in that kind of mindset when you're already in a slump where it feels like the only thing that has ever existed for you is that negative feeling.
Yeah.
So I definitely
I
understand that.
suck now, so I must have always sucked, right?
Yeah, exactly. I've never been good. I'm never going to be good.
And
Is
I've
Twitch
always just fooled people into thinking I'm good, so we're talking imposter syndrome.
Did I delete my Twitch bio? Yeah, imposter syndrome. Talk about that for sure.
Well, I think we will all have to deal with it for as long as we work in this field.
Your impression of it.
My impression
Is it
is
already
that...
April 1st?
What?
Sorry. Scott was telling me that my bio was gone, but no, it's there. I might have posted.
But yeah, I don't have any special take really on imposter syndrome beyond I suffer from it. But I think we all do.
But no anecdotes, no specific situations where you just felt it really hard or realized even, like, when did you realize you felt like you didn't know what you were doing among a whole bunch of people that knew everything? Oh, yeah. I'm not that special.
Before I started working, but not that long before it, if that makes sense.
You mean Tuesday?
But I think the main issue is that it never goes away, right?
I can't quite say that personally.
Okay.
Because there are some days, well, no, I can agree with you to an extent. There are some days when I feel like, man, I got this down. I'm doing this. I look back at my previous work and I'm like, thank you for setting this up this way past me. And most of the time it's like, why in the world would you do this past me? But when I look back at that and I'm like, hey, that was really helpful. I'm glad I set it up this way. And I'm helping other people.
I like the John comment.
Which is?
F you, future me.
Oh, yeah. Great clip. If you guys don't know Irish John Games, shout out to Irish John Games. He is a game developer working on Rise of Piracy. Check it out on Steam. Wishlist it, coming out S***N. Don't say bad words on stream. Fuck. And then I was like, what? Too many R's. But anyway, yeah. Definitely check out Rise of Piracy. Great game. Great streamer, Irish John.
Great game by great people, by a great guy. Doing great things. I think that's the, I mean, it's cool, but that's the smallest part of what makes it cool.
The publisher?
Yeah, it's kind of cool that he has a publisher, but
I mean, he's been working on
the
it
game
for
looked
how
awesome
long?
even before that. Yeah.
But I'm glad that he has resources now to be able to use to make it even better.
Yeah.
Cutting great hair since 1864 to 1865. That was the last time he had a haircut. I sometimes get bouts of confidence. Yeah, so to TBD gamer, it's kind of the opposite. I guess it was what I was saying. It's just the more truthful version of it, where, like Thindle said, the imposter syndrome persists, and then you have bouts of confidence of, hey, I actually know what I'm doing.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. So I cede to your point. You are correct.
But I think that's the most common version of it.
I want to think that I suffer less from it and I am more confident in my abilities more often than I'm not. But hopefully in a non in your face, I'm better than you kind of way. Just confident in it, and I want to do this for the rest of my life or whatever technology.
I'm confident that I will solve things, but you see what other people do, and it's like, so you solved this in 2 seconds. Even though they really didn't. They kind of spent a long time trying to figure this problem out, but it looks so easy now that they've done it.
Yeah. That one's terrible.
Kind of like, I spent, 2 hours yesterday on a problem where
oh,
the
right.
issue was an attribute missing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wrote a small tech test of an extension for Jimmy Engstrom of Coding After Work. And I missed an attribute, and I spent an hour and a half looking for that thing, trying to figure out why it wasn't working. But when I show someone the code, they can't see that I spent an hour and a half working on that.
Right.
It just works.
My PRs that are like, here are 3 code changes. So why did that take you a full day?
Yeah.
You try reading this API.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, never happened.
Never, ever.
I think the first time that I felt imposter syndrome myself was I had been working for Department of the Army for 11 years at that time. 7 years? 7 to 11 years. I took my first temporary assignment to go work at the headquarters with an actual development team. And I was working on code that would, I don't know how much of it I need to explain in order to get my point across, but I'm going to explain it anyway. So they have a system that is a repository for all of the position descriptions for any job you can have at the Department of Army in civilian service. And so one thing that managers struggle with is finding existing position descriptions for a position that they have open, and then needing to have a new position that they are opening classified so they know what pay level that position is. So I wrote logic, I wrote code that would take their brief description in English writing. So they type out, these are the duties of this position, do a lookup for any existing positions, and if there are no existing positions, help them build that position description using blocks, pretty much.
Based on keywords, I guess?
Based on splitting up their description. The first thing was split up their description into sentences where each sentence could represent a specific duty, and then see if it is a duty. If it is, put it into the standardized wording for that duty, and then look it up. If not, print out those duties.
So for the user, magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing that happened was I'm sitting here working on this thing with all of these other contractors that had been doing that application for years. And I'm working on it, and I'm looking at the code base and the way that they're handling repositories. They were using Tortoise SVN, doing repositories, and I had no clue what I was doing as far as working on a team. And I'm like, okay, so I don't belong in this industry because I'm clueless. I know nothing. When I got there, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be cool. I have all this stuff under my belt. I have these ideas, but no. I don't know anything.
I know the feeling. But what we have to remember, I mean, I'm on a new team now, and it's a great team. They listen to what I have to say. I've got a lot of control of what we do, yada yada. But there's a developer there. He has been programming for longer than I have, like way longer. I think he's turning 60 soon.
Sounds like
he had never worked in branches.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do everything domain, right?
Yeah. He'd worked with feature flags. He had never set up a CI/CD pipeline. He had never done dependency injection. And I'm not picking on anyone.
Oh yeah,
here,
yeah. No, I understand.
We have different experiences and different different experience and different knowledge and whatever. He is extremely good at the domain parts,
right?
Like knowing the business and stuff. And he can do fairly advanced programming, but then you end up at things like advanced link queries, stuff like that. He's great at SQL,
right?
Not the best at converting it,
right?
But we all have different skill sets.
That's one thing that I can't get over with with man, I am just going to complain about this. So, as people in a technology industry, things are going to change, and of course, because of what, Moore's law, is that what it is? Things are going to change even faster.
Yeah, that's more.
Whatever the thing is. So it's kind of, if you're in this industry and you are telling people you should only be doing things this way because it has worked before and it will always work, it's like, yeah, but there are new ways of doing it that are actually better. They're not just new, they are better ways of doing it, where we have to handle managing memory less, or we have to handle thread, or not have to manage threads directly, but we have to do it this old way because it's how they know how to do it, and it's foolproof, even though it breaks all the time and we get deadlocks. And
Yeah. Which means it might not be foolproof and perfect, but it's the way we used to do it. The thing is, this industry moves at a pace that no other industry does.
Oh my goodness.
And that's not just patting myself on the back. It's like there's a lot of things happening all the time. Architecture, sure, there's different styles showing up, and there are, different ways of doing things and different materials and whatnot, but it's not moving as fast as software development. Or computer hardware or anything either. It's one of the fastest moving things, like skill sets ever. So you have to be adaptable. Or I'm just evil and wrong and don't know about it.
That was my point. That was where I was going. It's like, you want to be in this industry. Actually, no, because my thing is always, it's self-centered. It's always tied back to, if I am going to need to work with you, and you are a type of person that does not want to adapt to newer ways of doing things, and you're telling me that I need to adapt to your old ways of doing things and enforcing that on me, then I will choose to work somewhere else. Otherwise, let me do it this way. I'll still follow your coding style guidelines, but your actual approach, I don't agree with that being the correct way or better way or right way or anything.
It's our way.
Some chats. Snubble had this to say on imposter syndrome, which is just hilarious to me. I've seen devs that claim they have imposter syndrome that never fail to rip into other devs while they write crap code. I hope I haven't done that, but yeah. My thing is, I hope other people continue working the way they work. I will adjust myself, either if that means either being okay with the way that someone else is doing what they're doing or choosing to go somewhere else. That's what I'm going to do, but I will not make anyone else change their way of doing what they do. I'm sure in the context with other devs, they actually respect and want the approval if they feel imposter syndrome. True. APIs suck. Time at least. I spent the entire week migrating clients. The best response I can hope for is, it's working. Why did it take so long? Yeah. So tired of that. Today I used ChatGPT for the position description type thingy, is when I saw that message show up when I was talking about PDs and updating them. And then TBD Gamer said, wow, 60 years is a long time to your story. Snabble said,
not 60 years as a developer. He is 60 years old.
Well, I mean...
but he's been a developer of some kind like his entire career.
My project manager, I think, is late 50s, early 60s. He's been developing for 30 plus years. So, yeah. So he has a lot of techniques and a lot of stuff that worked for the restrictions they had before. That just don't apply now.
Exactly. But in this case, the guy I'm working with, he is very open to learning and very open to, taking input. And that is what makes him great to work with, even if he doesn't have all the, knowledge that another guy does, i.e. me. But he knows lots of stuff that I don't.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. We're experts in different ways.
Yep.
We're knowledgeable, I guess. Not necessarily experts, but you know what I meant. Some things are just using main branches the right way. sometimes maybe. Yeah, I guess.
Mm.
Another take that Snubble has on many people's streams that he wants to make sure he gets the word out. Threads shouldn't exist. There's a better way to do it. So if you come up with that way, definitely make sure to mass market it. Make sure it becomes industry standard. But right now we have threads, so let's use them.
Yeah. I think Snobber wants to go back to Windows 3.11. Did you
I think he was
know
talking
that
about
that
thread
was
context
extremely?
before. Is that what it was?
I don't know. But that's with, starting things and stuff like that. But the thing with 3.11 is it was single proc. When you were in an application, that application had 100% of the CPU cycles. And when you switch applications, your other applications paused. Which was a whole other headache to deal with.
No background task type things.
Yep, nope, nothing. Whatever has the focus has everything.
Yeah. Such as in Photoshop on a Mac or on an Apple, because you weren't Macs then. TBD Gamer says things move on. These youngins keep inventing new JavaScript framework. Inventing new JavaScript frameworks. We got to keep it up. A framework was invented while I was writing this.
Yeah.
Oh, can't keep up with this industry.
I'm not going to bash JavaScript. I'm not going to bash JavaScript.
I mean, again, you can. I still think there are uses for JavaScript. I prefer not to use it because I really like writing C# code to do all of my interactions and front end and back end and just everything. But there are cases for JavaScript where it's faster,
definitely,
where it's easier.
There definitely are. If I'm going to bash JavaScript,
already gave his thing.
That would be that it's not used for what it was supposed to be used for. It was designed to do a thing, and then it's evolved from there to do more things, but it still has to be backwards compatible to being a, quote, lesser language, if that makes sense. And NPM is a horrible piece of crap that should never have been allowed to exist.
You should have seen Finite struggling with Node and NPM package thingy. And he's like, oh, I'm supposed to use... He did NPM install... Or, I don't remember. He was either installing NPM because it wasn't on his machine. And it's like, this is the wrong NPM to use for what you're trying to do. And he's like, what? Maybe it was NVM. I don't know. Or maybe that's what he came to. But he was just getting frustrated by that. We are getting close to the end. We are at the end.
Yeah.
And then?
And then you have left pad. Or right pad, or whatever pad it was.
Oh, that he was working on.
No, and the fact that a guy removed a 16-line library and it broke the internet. Because they love depending on other people's work, which is fine, but it has limits. Yeah, sorry.
No, you're okay. You're okay. We are at time, so please do your stand-up.
Yep. I am going to be attempting to finish those freaking tests at some point in my life. Yeah, I've been saying that for a week and a half or so. That the code has been technically done, and then I've run into problems, but soon, TM. And that's my stand-up, more or less.
Well, do you need anyone?
I have tons of blockers, but they're all mine.
Oh, okay. Well, feel free to reach out to anyone on the team if you need them. And other than that,
absolutely.
Thank you all for being here for your stand-up.
And thank you for having me. Have a wonderful Friday and weekend if I don't see you around. Yeah.
Likewise.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao. Cool. That was Thindle, everyone. Amazing time hanging out with us on the stream. Thank you all for your conversation this stream. Nerjuino came in. I said Jewino because I know how to speak words. If you guys don't know Nerduino, he is a science streamer. He does some really, really cool topics that he covers. Yesterday morning, he was covering one of the SpaceX launches. It was SpaceX, right? And not one of the other named rockets. I was lurking on his stream, and cool. And it was a lot of fun hanging out. That's my preferred time. Would you stream at that time forever? It was a really good time for me. And your streams are super cool and super fun. Check him out. Let's do an actual clip shout out for him so you can see what you're into. Yep. So I wake up at 4:30 Mountain Time, and by at least 4:35 I'm down here at my computer. So that's why I love TBD Gamer streams. Anyway.
All right, let's see. So we just did this biome here. We'll try these small huts, and then we'll try this building here. Maybe that'll be two separate ones that we can do done.
I need to make that bigger. I'm going to try to do that before next stream. We haven't played KSP for a good while. I need to get back to it. I think the last time that I watched you play it was over a year ago. Anyway, I remember being there for one of them. And you were telling us what all of the actual instrument displays were for and how they worked. And I was like, what? And then telling us about the trajectory and how it was really cool. It was a lot of cool. All right, enjoy your time, Violet Dragon. We are going to head off. So I'm going to do my stand-up as well, and then the actual sign-off. So I was working on, and of course I have to be general about it. I was working on implementing, oh, I can say this completely. I was working on adding the content to the warranty card after the user has signed in, but now I'm trying to, and that works and it looks good. So that's going to be ready for demo on next Wednesday's meeting. But now I need a way to get the warranty information for the customer's system anonymously. So even if they're not logged in, I should still be able to get the warranty information. So I'm researching that, might need to reach out to another team to do that. But I think that there is an anonymous endpoint that I could use with our current APIs that we are working with. So I'll be working on that today. And that's it for me. No blockers. Yay. But yeah, anyway, definitely check out Nerduino. I was going to read Simple, but he just ended his stream. Dang it. So, in honor of the shirt that I'm wearing today, we are, of course, going to go to one of my favorite streamers. Favorite because he's working in a technology that I am super duper interested in getting into. Mixed reality is just going to be our next step in computing in how we consume our media. And yeah, I just know it's going to be a thing. I don't think that the current form factor is going to be our final destination, but I do feel like it will be mixed reality. We'll have some form of 3D assets overlaid into the real world or environments that we could step into fully immersive. I just really hope that it's not going to stick with these head mount displays. So anyway, yes, you are correct, solo solipsist. And Apocalypse is here. Hello, Apocalypse. Thank you so much for coming in. That was perfect timing. That was good for my stomach, good for keeping me awake. But yeah, we're going to head on over to Solo Solipsist's channel. Does he still have the... No, he's not actually wearing a headset currently. He's working exclusively in Unity at the moment. But he's still on his Mac, so I assume he's doing stuff with his Aliens vs. Predator, aka Apple Vision Pro. What is up? It's okay though, Apocalypse. You're here now. I felt your spirit earlier. Yep, sure did. So, Hope you're doing well. We need a reversed what's up sound. I think we're good. All right. That's it for me, though. I will be back again on Monday. And we'll work more on the financial management trackers redesign. We've been doing a lot of UI design work on stream, and it's been going. We're making progress. So, all right. Ciao for now.